Hello, I'm Srivardhan Reddy. I'm going to present the topic wireless deauthentication. In this presentation, we'll discuss how a Wi-Fi connectivity can be disrupted using various tools and methods. Diving into the contents of this presentation, first we will see a brief overview of how wireless deauthentication attack happens, following with the background into the IEEE 802.11 protocol. Next, we will learn how a deauthentication attack can be performed via AirTrack-NG, a popular Wi-Fi network security tool. After that, we'll see how a NodeMCU microcontroller can be used to perform the attack. In this presentation, we'll also learn potential Wi-Fi security threats and mitigation techniques as well. Lastly, we'll learn about WPA3 wireless protocol, which is the most secure wireless protocol. So, what is a wireless deauthentication or a deauthentication attack? Let me give you a brief overview of the attack, and after that, we'll learn the detailed background of the attack. So, attacker scans the Wi-Fi network using a wireless interface card and with tools like AirTag-NG. Then the attacker crafts a deauthentication packet with a spoofed MAC address of the victim and sends it to the access point. So this will trick the router into thinking that legitimate access point is sending the disassociation request. So then it will disconnect the victim device from Wi-Fi network, which will in turn disrupt the device's network connectivity. Let's understand this attack in more detail. Before that, we need to understand the WPA2 four-way handshake. Imagine an access point is configured with the WPA2 and devices trying to connect to it. In our example, it's a computer which needs to connect to the internet. It goes through a process from authentication to association to security validation. So this is where four-way handshake happens. Instead of sending the password to the access points, there are EAPOL, which is Extensible Authentication Protocol over LAN. Uh, these are the messages, where the exchange happens. So what happens is computer sends an authentication request to the access point. The access point responds with an authentication response. Then the computer confirms and sends the association request. And for that, router sends an association response, and thus a connection is established, and the Wi-Fi traffic now can be exchanged between them. So how a deauthentication attack happens is like, as we discussed, attacker sends a forged deauthentication frame, and the router disconnects, in our case, the computer, as it considers that the request came from the computer. So there is authentication, security validation, and tons of security protocols in action. But still, why is deauthentication attack possible? Let's look into the protocol which the wireless communication is based on. The IEEE 802.11 is a standard protocol for wireless local area network communication. It includes several protocols for wireless networking, like including the protocol for authentication and association between wireless clients and access points, as we discussed. One of the components of this protocol is the deauthentication frame used to disconnect the user from the network, like upon the request. So this is a legitimate part of IEEE 802.11 standard, but unlike the authentication process during the establishment of Wi-Fi connection, like a four-way handshake, deauthentication packet can be sent without undergoing a similar authentication process. So this lack of authentication allows attacker to send forged deauthentication packets to the target devices, which results in deauthentication. Let's see a tool which is capable of auditing and assessing the security of wireless network. So AirTrack-NG has various capabilities, including capturing WPA and WPA2 handshakes, password cracking, and performing deauthentication attacks. We'll also need a Wi-Fi network card with a chipset capable of switching to monitor mode to perform a deauthentication attack with AirTrack-NG. Let's see how to use the tool. I've performed a deauthentication attack on my own network. Here, I want to mention that unauthorized or malicious use of deauthentication attack is illegal and can have severe consequences. So, looking into the attack, we first set the Wi-Fi interface card to the monitor mode using AirmonNG, which in turn belongs to AirTrackNG suite. As you can see now, my interface is in monitor mode. After this, we use AeroDumpNG to capture available Wi-Fi network traffic. Now that I'm just testing on my personal network, and we can see that it is running on channel 6. So here we use -c to specify the channel, and I specified the MAC address corresponding to my Wi-Fi, and capture option, as it says, it is to capture the network traffic. In this case, I'm using my personal network. Mm, Remember, we don't know the password of Wi-Fi network uh, yet, but we are still able to view the traffic and devices connected to it. And we can now see the list of devices connected to my access point. So we'll specifically attack one of these connected devices. ReplayNG is used to perform a deauthentication attack. Here, number 10,000 specifies number of deauthentication packets that we are going to send. -A is to specify a MAC address of the access point, and as we discussed, we are only targeting a specific client and not trying to disconnect all the devices from the access point. So -C is to specify the MAC address of the client, and WLAN 0 to specify the interface which you are using to attack. And we were also able to capture the WPA handshake. This happens when the device is trying to reconnect uh, with the access point during the attack. And this WPA handshake can be used to crack the password of the Wi-Fi access point. Quickly analyzing the capture with Wireshark with EAPOL filter, which shows the message exchange. We can see the handshake messages as my Motorola phone is trying to reconnect. As we have captured the handshake, we can use it to crack the Wi-Fi password. Here we can see, like, my Wi-Fi password is cracked. Wireless deauthentication with NodeMCU. NodeMCU is a popular open source development board which has ESP8266 Wi-Fi chipset with which we can launch a deauthentication attack. Advantages of using NodeMCU for deauthentication attack is, unlike computers, it is compact and portable. NodeMCU is a small size development board, so which makes it convenient for deploying deauthentication attack. So NodeMCU is also programmable, so it can be customized to perform a deauthentication attack. And also, NodeMCU is an inexpensive microcontroller compared to other Wi-Fi hacking tools in the market. So to make NodeMCU to work as a Wi-Fi deauthor, we need to set up the NodeMCU. So first we need to connect it to the computer and program it with Arduino IDE. So a lot of scripts are available on GitHub that can be loaded on NodeMCU and use it as a deauthor. So uh, the attack scenario is same, like the NodeMCU first scans the nearby Wi-Fi networks and obtain the details like MAC address, and then chooses the target device which it wants to uh, disconnect. And for sending the authentication packet, again, we need to program NodeMCU to do that. Based on MAC addresses, it will choose the targets and send the deauthentication packet. Typical Wi-Fi threats are unauthorized access, where attacker may attempt to gain unauthorized access to Wi-Fi networks by exploiting weak or default passwords, brute forcing credentials, or bypassing encryption mechanism. And next, man in the middle attack, where the attacker intercepts or alters the communication between the two parties. Um, Maybe inject malicious content, and also create rogue access points where attacker posts a rogue access point, mimics the legitimate networks, tricking the users into connecting them. This allows the attackers to intercept the traffic and gain access to sensitive information. uh, Packet sniffing is also one such threat, where you know Attacker analyzes the network packets and extract the sensitive data, passwords, or like that. And a denial of service attack, where the attacker may flood your Wi-Fi network with excessive traffic or exploit the vulnerabilities to disrupt the network connectivity as a whole. We talked about security threats. Now let's look at some mitigation techniques to secure Wi-Fi networks or devices. Implementing strong authentication mechanisms such as WPA2 or moving to WPA3, and using long passwords and complex passwords, and also network segmentation to prevent like unauthorized access, and deploying IDS or IPS solutions to monitor network traffic for suspicious activities. Uh, you know, they will detect and alert for any potential Wi-Fi security threats, and also block malicious traffic. And easy fix, regular firmware updates and security patches, and also educating Wi-Fi users about secure practices, that will be helpful. And lastly, deploying wi- wireless intrusion prevention systems, uh, solutions like to continuously monitor and protect against Wi-Fi security threats such as deauthentication attacks or rogue access points or like unauthorized devices. And moving to latest Wi-Fi security protocols such as WPA3, which is the latest generation Wi-Fi security protocol, which is designed to address the vulnerabilities in WPA2. And WPA3 employs a stronger encryption algorithm than WPA2 and ensures a secure key exchange, and most importantly, individualized data. Like if one device is compromised, it uh, will not allow other devices to compromise as well. And also, newer versions of IEEE 802.11 standards introduced enhanced security feature to mitigate Wi-Fi security threat. And summing up, moving from WPA2 to WPA3 is a best option to mitigate the security risk. Like currently, WPA3 is the most secure wireless protocol available. Yeah, while doing this project presentation, I gained a lot of knowledge than I previously had on this topic, and I believe that this presentation will be resourceful for you guys too. And yeah, thank you for being awesome.